To wrap events on the last day of electioneering in Zimbabwe, we're now joined by Peter Ndoro, who is in the country's capital, Harare. Very good evening to you, Peter. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, what's the atmosphere like on the ground in Zimbabwe? Are the people optimistic?
Thanks very much indeed. We're coming to you live from Harare. It's a little bit warmer this evening, I've got to tell you. Our first night was pretty chilly, but it's been quite a day. When we woke up this morning, it was the headlines in the newspapers was the final push, Chamisa versus Mnangagwa. Well, they had epic final rallies today, both in the center of Harare, the president at the National Sports Stadium, and Nelson Chamisa, the leader of the MDC Alliance, held his at Freedom Square. Both very well attended, but perhaps the MDC edged it in terms of the turnout, but the messages were similar in some ways. Both parties talking about change, talking about renewal. The ZANU-PF president talking about change is here, whilst the MDC's Nelson Chamisa was talking about change that delivers, and these have been their consistent campaign promises. I'll talk a little bit more about the messages that they shared in those rallies a little bit later on, because right now I'm going to speak to somebody who's going to have her hands full as an organization and probably personally, the Senior Assistant Commissioner Charity Charamba from the police. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much and good evening. Good evening, viewers.
All right, so you have a lot of work to do, but I know that it hasn't started now. It's been going for a while, but you're going to get into an even busier period. Are you ready for the elections on Monday?
The Zimbabwe Republic Police is 100% ready for the elections. We've been planning for the elections for the past year and over. And I can say our police officers are already deployed and they are ready. And today was also a testimony that we are ready, because we deployed our police officers for the two rallies. And what I can also say is that we are happy as the ZRP that these two rallies were very peaceful. We just received a minor report that was reported, but basically it was very peaceful. So ZRP is ready, police officers are already deployed at the polling stations.
So what's been your observation as people that monitor all kinds of disruptions over time in this campaign period? What's been different this time in your view?
What has been different this time around is that the levels of violence actually went down. And where violence occurred, most of it was intra-party, that is within parties, as opposed to inter-party. And most of the intra-party violence was actually very minor. And for inter-party violence, again, it was also minor in that most of the cases that were reported were defacing of posters, tearing of posters, minor assaults, which is very different from the previous years. And we also attribute this to the continuous messages for peace that have been especially made by His Excellency, Comrade Mnangagwa. He has said a lot about campaigning peacefully. So we really thank everyone who participated, even church organizations, civic organizations, they all participated to ensure that messages of peace were spoken continuously. The police as well, we also did our part. We're also raising awareness amongst the electorate, amongst the public. So basically there was peace throughout.
All right, so one of the things that we've seen in Harare is police visibility, that you see police everywhere, and that always gives some kind of assurance and calmness. Is it the same in the rural areas? How many police have you deployed nationally?
Nationally, for these elections, we've deployed 71,000 police officers to cater for 11,000 plus polling stations. We have also deployed our police officers on strategic positions so that they can also respond. We have deployed them on hotspots where we feel there might be problems. So we have actually deployed, and people should really feel safe and secure. Police officers are firm on the ground, and we want to assure everyone, including visitors like you, that police officers are everywhere. They are ready to assist and they are ready to provide security wherever it is called for.
Can the political parties trust you? because in the past you've been accused of being partisan, you've been accused of being a police force, not a police service.
They should trust us, because with the new dispensation, when the new government came in, when Comrade Idi Mnangagwa came in, he has made it very clear that he wants people who are professional, people who serve the people of Zimbabwe. And as such, the appointment of the new Commissioner General, Comrade Matanga, has also made an impact in the police as an organization, in that he has also set a new vision in line with the vision of the new government, that we are a police service that should serve the wishes of the people. And we are also guided by our motto, pro patria, pro leg, pro populo, which means for the law, for the country, and for the people. And this is exactly what we as the Zimbabwe Republic Police are doing. And we are also on a drive to educate all our police officers to also change in line with the new vision of the Commissioner General and government as well. So we are also supporting all the activities and policies that are in place at the moment.
All right. There was this report earlier in the month which was a bit of a concern. Police officers voting at Ross Camp without ZDC officials and polling agents and observers. That seemed very irregular.
That was not irregular at all. It's only that there was misinformation on the part of the people who went there, because under the Electoral Act, that is chapter 72 to 80, we as police, those who are on duty during elections, are allowed to vote using the postal vote. And how it is done is that the officer commanding of a particular province applies for a postal vote. When he does apply for a postal vote, that is then sent to the particular police station. And in this case, 4,606 police officers applied for a postal vote. The simple reason was that some of them were registered in particular polling stations, but for the purposes of elections, they were going to be deployed elsewhere. We take, for example, Bulawayo itself. There are police officers who are beefing up security in Matebelena North, which is about 100 kilometers away. And this is the reason why some of them had to do postal voting. It is not provided for in the law that ZEC or political agents should participate. But we believe one of our officers, and we already know who he is now, actually phoned some political parties and said we are being subjected to vote. But definitely there was no intimidation on the part of anyone who voted, because they are given sealed envelopes with the name of the police officer. You go at a certain place, you vote, you put back everything inside, and you hand over a sealed envelope. So there's no way any police officer can monitor that. After that, the officer commanding actually takes it back to ZEC, and everything will be sealed, and it will be distributed to the polling station where that particular individual is going to vote. So there's no way, and we want to make it very clear, everyone is free in the Zimbabwe Republic Police. We have been implementing laws where this time around people are not supposed to be intimidated, and there's no way that we also intimidate our own police officers. So basically, there was misinformation. Those political party agents thought they had the right to be there. In any case, they had no right to be there, and they were not even supposed to be there because it's not provided for.
Okay, unfortunately we're running out of time, but perhaps one very final question, and perhaps if you can answer it briefly. You have a lot of work to do to repair this relationship with the public, because we've seen images over the years where police have been quite brutal with civilians. And I just wonder, this re-education and building trust, it will take time, but if the MDC wins, for example, are you going to be a police service to Nelson Chamisa and co. and forget the ZANU-PF era?
My short and precise answer is that the police serve the government which is in power. So as police, we serve whoever is in power. But as for the damaged image, the current government is already doing a lot in terms of making sure that we also repair our own image. The Commissioner General right now, as I speak, has gone around the country to ensure that everyone is reoriented towards the new vision of ensuring that we build up. Next year has been dedicated to retrain all our police officers and ensure that they all toe the line. We know image which has been battered also takes time. but we also appeal to all Zimbabweans also to ensure that they also accommodate their police officers. We are doing a lot. We are reaching out. We have been going out into the provinces, into the communities to ensure that we partner with the police in so many community policing activities. So I know one day we'll get there and ensure that our image improves.
Assistant Senior Commissioner Charamba, thank you very much indeed for joining us and sharing your thoughts with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right, so that's where we're going to leave our conversation with the police that have got a huge job on their hands to make sure that these elections continue to be peaceful. The political parties, in their defense, have been pretty well behaved, as she's described just now. And this relationship between the police and the public, they said that they're retraining their staff and they're working very hard to fix that. Anyway, we're starting to count down to the elections on Monday. We're hoping perhaps we might get a final statement from the ZEC about their state of readiness, and it might come sometime tomorrow. We're going to keep track on that. One citizen that we haven't seen much of, and we wonder where he is and if he's going to vote, is former President Robert Mugabe. We wonder where he is. I wish he was on Twitter, then maybe we could see and get a sense of what his thoughts are, but we'll keep a track on that. And also tomorrow, don't forget, on Media Monitor from 9 o'clock, we'll also do a crossing from here in Zimbabwe. I'm going to be talking to some journalists and to try and unpack some of the media coverage that's been taking place in the country. So catch a date with us tomorrow morning, Media Monitor from 9 o'clock. But in the meantime, we'll hand you back to Johannesburg and we'll continue our coverage in Zimbabwe.